Okay, let me record this. So using merge join, okay, we can join two tables or multiple tables, okay, and we can apply inner join between the two tables, okay, left outer join, right outer join, and full outer join. Okay, so like merge join also, this merge join transformation also accepts only the sorted data. Okay, so that limitation is there, and inside a merge join, inside a single merge join, how many inputs are allowed? We have only two inputs are allowed. Okay, we can send only two sources. Okay, so let this solution get open. So let me show you the samples before that solution is open. So let me show you the samples also. So now let us see. Okay, so let us say in this Excel file I have four columns and we have some data here. Okay, so that employee 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 like that. So let me sort the data, or let the, since we are using the merge join, no, it will get sorted, it, no problem. So now let us go for and see the second source. So let us say this merge source 1. So do we have any common records between these two sources? So here 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 14, 15 is there. Okay, and in this one, so 6, 7, 8, 9 is the common fix. Okay, so 6, 7, 8, 9, here also 6, 7, 8, 9 and what there. Okay, but 12 also is there. Okay, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 are common records. Okay, so if I apply the inner join between these two sources, okay, I will get only 6, 7, 8, 9 in the output. Okay, now let us go for merge join. let us go for, let us take one more data flow task. Okay. So if sometimes the SSIS toolbox is not appearing in the side menu, so you can click on this icon. This I already told you. Okay. Now let me go for data flow task. So here let us take the merge join. Okay. So this merge join. So in the last class we have explained for full incremental load purpose. Now let us see the other options present in this merge join. Okay. So now if I want to join two sources, okay, then I can go for this merge join option. Now let me take one of the source as Excel file source and one of the source as flat file source. Okay, and in this Excel source, let me go for it. So is the connection is already there for that particular Excel file? I think the connection is already there. Let me take the merge source one. Okay, so in that Excel file we have multiple sheets now. Now let us see which sheet data we need to pick up. So now it can go on, see this is the sheet data. I will need to make it as a left join. Okay, so now you can see we have the data, and let me prepare the flat file source, that is a right side table. So my connection is already there to that merge source part. Yes, I think the connection is already there. Let me go and preview the data. So we have some data is there. Okay, click on OK. Okay, so now let us go on. So we already know that this merge join, okay, both merge and merge join will accept only the sorted data. Okay, so let me put it as input, left input. Okay, and these two will always accept only two inputs. Okay, so now you can see we are getting the error, and it is saying that hey, input, left input must be sorted. Okay, so let me sort the left. So by using the sort transformation, I am sorting the data based upon the employee ID. Okay, and I am passing to this. Okay, now let us go for sort the right input also. Let me sort the right input also. Okay, and put the data into this. Okay, now let me sort it based upon the employee. Here also I want to sort it based upon the employee. Okay, and if I go for merge join, so now you can see we are able to join these two inputs. Okay, and now you can see the mapping column. You can see the mapping column also is there. Okay, so what is this mapping column is, we are comparing these two tables by using this employee ID column. Okay, and we need to make sure that, okay, at least this column data type, that is the mapping column data type. So here employee ID is, here it is now R8, and here it is now R8. So since both the data types are matching, so we are able to apply a join here. Okay, but if the data types are different, at least the mapping column, not all the columns, at least the mapping column data type should match. If it is integer and if it is string, no, then this join won't happen. It will ask you to make the metadata same. Okay, that we need to take care. And now let us say from the first table I require all these columns. From the first table I require all these columns, and from the second table let me take this employee and employee name. Okay, so to differentiate, let me give the first table left table alias name as left of employee. Okay, and this right table for the second one let me give the as right table employee. Okay, and right table employee. So these are all the columns. Whichever columns you want to include in the output, no, we can go and include in the output. So if you don't want, let us say if you don't want to repeat employee name and salary, okay, let me do the salary. Okay, now so let me put them in the last. Okay, okay, like this. Now click on OK. So now what type of join we are applying and where do we need to apply the join is, you can see here I want to apply, you can see I want to apply inner join between these two sources. Okay, you can see we can select the join type from here. What type of join? Inner join. So now click on OK. Okay, now what does the inner join will do? First of all, so it will show you the only the matching records. Okay, it will include only the matching records in the output. Okay, so if it is I think some of the guys are uh, good in SQL and some of the guys are learning the SQL, so that's why I'm explaining this one. Okay, so let us say this is table 1. Okay, and this is table 1 and this is table 2. Okay, so here we have 1 2 and let us say 3 and let us say some 4. Okay, and this is 1 2. Okay, something like 5. Okay, and 6. Okay, so the inner join, if I take the inner join, what it will do is, so here 2 is there, 1 is there and 2 is there. Okay, here also 1 2 is there, but 3 is not there in the right table. Similarly 4 is not there in the right table. Okay, if I apply inner join, so it will show only the matching records. Matching records means what are the common records present in both the table. So 1 is a common record and 2 is a common record. Why? Because it is present in both the tables. So in the output I will get only the 1 and 2 here. Okay, so let me show you that. So I want to push the data into any destination. You can go and put the data into any destination. Okay, and let me put the data into our dbbrook database, and I want to create a new table. Let me go and create a new table, and let us go and see table underscore merge join. Okay, output. So we are having the all the columns. Now you can see for the selected columns, in the selected columns it is going to create a table. Okay, go to the mappings and map your input columns and the destination columns, and before pushing the data I just want to view the data. Then go and select the data viewer and enable the data viewer and click on OK. So now you can see So now what type of join I have selected? I have selected the inner join here. Okay. So in the output, we will get what are the common records present in both the tables. Okay. So I think 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 are the common records. Let me execute this. So now you can see that. So for the inner join, we can see it is giving us left table employee, which are the common records. So as we already discussed, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 are the common records present in both the sources. So in the output, it has included only the common records. This is 6 is present in left table as well as in right table. Okay, like this. Now, if I select left join, okay, let me select the left join. Now in this merge join, let me go and select a join type as left join. So what is the left join will do? So left join also will include the matching records between the both the tables and as well as remaining records present in the left table. Okay, remaining records present in the left table means in the left join output we will get, in this case we will get 1 and 2. Okay, so we will get 1 and 2, and this is the common records, and as well as the 3 and 4 are extra records in the left table, no? So the 3 and 4 are the remaining records in the left table, no? So in the output it will includes, okay, 3 and 4 data also. Now let me see. some problem with application today. So let me. Okay, so we are shifting the. So for applying the right outer joint, so we are selecting the left joint and we have clicked on the swap inputs so that my right table will become the left table and now the joint will be equivalent to the right outer joint. So now in the right outer joint, what will happen? So it will show all the matching records between the two tables and as well as the remaining records present in the right table. Okay, so now you can see that. So again 6, 7, 8, 9, 12. Okay, the common records are coming which has entries in both the right table columns and the left table columns. And also you can see, so these 1, 2, 3 are present in the right table and those records are not there in the left table. So that's why null values are coming here. Similarly 10 and 13, so they are present in only in the right table and there is no matching records for the left table. So the right outer joint will show all the matching records as well as the remaining records from the right table. Okay, so now this is about the left joint and right outer joint. Okay, and let us go for full outer joint. So full outer joint will nothing but, so it will show the full outer joint, which will show all the records from both the tables. Okay, matching records and the remaining record from left table and remaining record from right table. So it will show all the records from both the tables. That's it. Okay, let me go and execute this. So now we can see. So it is showing 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and as well as 5 is there in the left table. 5 is not there in the right table. Means all the records from left table. And now here you can see 1 is there in the right table and there is no matching 1 in the left table. Okay, means it will show all the records, matching records, and as well as the remaining records from both the tables. That is called full outer join. Okay, so if you want to apply the joins, okay, we can go and use this merge join concept. Okay, but only limitations are, so it will accept only the sorted data. Okay, and it will accept only two inputs. And if you want to join one more input, then what we can do, so take the output of first merge join and combine with the third input. Okay, if you want to join one more table, okay, if you want to join one more table, so you can take one more source. Okay, so if you have one more source, let me go for, okay, a flat file source. So if you have one more source, okay, so just take, okay, so let us go on map the flat file source. So we have already one connection is there, merge source 3 connection. So let me go and preview the data. So in tomorrow class I will see, I will clean up all the cache data. Okay, system is becoming slow today. So now you can see we have third data is coming here. Now I want to apply the join. Okay, so I want to apply the joins, but my merge join will accept only two inputs. No, so what we can do is we can take one more merge join. Okay, we can take one more merge join, and for this merge join, let me make this as one of the input. Okay, and it will accept only the sorted data. No, okay, let me make this as a right input, and since it is accepting sorted data, what we can do is we can, let me delete this, and before sending let me sort the data. Okay, now let me sort it based upon the employee ID. Okay, and make it as right input. So you can see we have only two inputs are allowed and a single merge join transformation. Okay, and delete this. Okay, and after getting the output of first two joins, okay, let us make this as a left input to the second merge join. Okay, and now we can go, and so now you can see we have the, it is taking the right table employee ID and this one, or you can take left table employee, whatever you want. Okay, and whichever columns you want in the output, let us say all the columns, and from the, you can make it as, okay, third table employee. Okay, like this, and after getting the output you can put it into the destination file. That's it. Okay, so if you have more than two inputs, so we can design the package like this. We have to take one more merge join and pass the output of first merge join as one of the input to the second merge join. That's it. Okay, so this is about the merge join transformation to join the tables. So we have options to union the tables, to join the tables, and to compare the tables by using the lookups. Okay, so now let us go for next transformation. Let me give you a name for this. Okay, now let us go for one more data flow task. We have seen aggregate, conditional split, conversion, derived column, lookup, merge, merge join, multicast we have seen, OLDB command we have seen, and sort we have seen, and union all also we have seen. Okay, so let me go for row count. Okay, so in this first one, so this is for, let me go for row count. So row count is for, so if you want to see the number of records count coming from the source, if you want to see the count of records, then we have to use this row count transformation. Okay, so let us say some text file or Excel file, okay, as a source. So let me go and show you that. So let us take this one, EMP bulk text. So now you can see that we have so many records, okay, and I don't know how many records are there. I don't know how many records are there in this source. Okay, so I want to find the number of records coming from this source. So if you want to find the number of records, then we have to go for this row count transformation. Okay, now let me show you that how we can fetch the row count. So let us take the source, let us create a connection to the source. So since it is a text file, let me take the connection type as flat file source. Now first of all, let me create a connection to the text file, emp bulk text. So let me create the connection name as bulk text connection. Okay, let me browse for the data file. So let me select the text. Okay. Okay, now does the table has that the text file has column names in the first row? Yes. Now let me go on preview. So now you can see we are getting the source data, but I don't know how many records are there. Okay. So now let us go for, so let us click on OK. Okay, my source data is ready. Now I want to get the number of records, then put the source in this row count. Okay, now you can see it is showing some error. Let us go and see. So it is asking for, hey, in which variable I need to store the count. Okay, so it is asking for which variable I want to, in which variable I want to save the count. Okay, now let me create a variable. So to create a variable, so we have this icon. Okay, some eraser kind of icon. Let me select that one. Now here you can see, let me add a variable. Okay, click on this variable. Now let us go and specify the variable name as, let us say, variable v count or row count, whatever it is. Okay, variable for row count. Now what is the data type? So we are storing the integer values now, numeric values now. So let it be integer 32. And what is the default value? Let us give some default value as 0. Okay, now after defining the variable, now I will go to the row count and I will save that value in this variable. Okay, that's it. But how to see that count? How to see the value present in that variable? We are storing the data in a variable, and how to see that value? Okay, so here inside the data flow task, we don't have facility to display the value present in that variable. Okay, so then what I can do is, if you go and see, if I put the data into any one of the output also, so let me put that output in a flat file destination. Let us try to put that. Now it will give us the column names, whatever the columns present in this source. Okay, as an output, it will give us only these column names. You can see here when I try to create a table or put it in a destination. So let us go for new. So it won't give me the row count value. It will give me the columns coming from the source. It will give me the columns coming from the source. You can see here, let me create one. Let me browse some file. So I want to save the destination here. Do you want the column names in the first data row? Yes. And if you go and preview, so here you can see it is not giving me the row count value. It is giving me the columns coming from the source. Okay. So then how I can see you can see, go and see the mappings. You can see it is giving me the column names coming from the source as output. Okay, but how can I see the value present in the variable? Okay, so to do that, to capture that, so if I do push the data in the destination, that also nothing will come. Okay, then how we can see the value present in the variable is, so after the data flow task, come to the control flow section first. Okay, and this data flow task is giving me the row count value. Okay, it is giving me the row count value. Now after this, let me use in the control flow section, if you want to display the value, so we have this script task is. Okay, now let me connect the output to the script task. Okay, so here we can write some .NET code, okay, to display the value present in that variable. Okay, so now you can see that, so which variable data, so here is an option to select which variable data you want to read. So go to this section and select your variable. So we have created one variable now, it will be shown here. Now you can see v underscore row count is showing it here. Click on OK. Okay, and here you can see what type of language you want to write, whether you are familiar with VB language, VB.NET or C Sharp.NET. We can select whichever you want. Okay, so I am also not a .NET developer, but learning a small lines of script is okay, no? So it might be useful for you don't need to write complex logic. Okay, you can write complex logic in SQL side, but if you are not .NET developers, we can learn some simple line of codes, one line, two line codes. That's it. I also know little bit of, just a little bit, okay, of .NET. So why they have provided all these facilities is, so any developer, if you are a SQL developer, you can come and learn the SSIS. If you are a .NET developer also, so for the .NET developer to work, they have given this specifically script task transformation, script task and script component. So they can write their own uh, code of language. Okay, for applying the budget join, for applying the union, okay, for applying calculations, and all. Okay, so they can take the help of script task. If you are a .NET developer, they will use this script task very regularly, very frequently. If you are a SQL developer, so we will use the execute SQL task very frequently. Okay, if you don't know anything also, you can easily learn this SSIS, no problem. So now let me go to this script task. It is opening the script task window. So now here you just want to display the value present in that variable, no? Then just write here message box. You can see we have message box dot show. So it will also show the list of functions available. So you just want to display the value, no? Then select message box dot show. Okay. So which values you want to show? Okay. Let us see that message box dot show. After that, so dts dot variables. I want to show the value present in the variable, no? Variables. And which variable? The variable. This is the variable name. So let us select the variable name. So which variable you want to show in the pop-up window? So this variable data. Then go to this script task and just specify this is the variable data I want to display. Okay. So dts dot variables dot value dot toString. So I also know this much only. Okay. So it is very easy to learn little bit one or two lines of script. Okay. So I'm just using the message box dot show. So in this message box, what value you want to display? So this variable value I want to display. I'm converting it to string format. That's it. Now let us close, save this and check for any errors. Build the query, build the code, and then close this. Once the build is succeeded, we can close this. So now you can see the rightmost corner build is succeeded. Now close this. That's it. Close the script task also. So we have just selected which variable I want to display. Okay. So here one more issue is, so we have so many tasks here. Okay. If I execute the package, inside this package there are so many are there. If I execute this package, what will happen? So will this only two will execute? No. Along with these two, since there are so many, everything will get executed. Everything will get executed. So now if I go and see, if I execute the package, now since we are in the control flow section, so if I execute the package, okay, so it will start executing the each and every task present in this. Okay, so now some of the this is getting error now, so let me delete that. Now let me execute this. So now you can see here, so if I execute the package, it will go and execute each and every task. But what you want, I want only those two to execute separately. So now you can see it has started executing each and everything. So now you can go and see we have so many pop-up windows like this. Okay, but I don't want, okay, I don't want everything to get executed. I want only these two to get executed separately. Then what we can do is, and if I execute this task alone, what will happen? So this what will execute only this task. If I try to execute that particular task, what will happen? It will just execute that task and it won't continue with the next one. Why? Because we have told to only execute that particular task. You can see here. So it will just execute that particular task and it will stop the execution. Why? Because we have asked to execute that particular task separately. But you want these two to get executed, no? Let me stop. Okay, so if you want these two to execute separately, so what we can do is we have some container option is there. So now we can see we have some containers option is there in the control flow section. So I can take the help of sequence container. I can take the help of sequence container and I will put these two and I will put these two, okay, and I will put these two inside this container. So let me cut those two, okay. So it is taking some time today. Let me. So we'll put these two inside the sequence container, and at the container level, we have an option to execute. Okay, so it will be like a package inside another package. Okay, so it will be like a package inside another package. Oh, is killing our time here. Kalyano, net పెంచును net పెంచును నెట్ పెట్టు ఒకసారి అది నెట్ తగిలిస్తావా చూడు బాగా అమ్మకు చెప్పు కింద లైట్ వెలుగుతుందా అమ్మకు చూడమని చెప్పు ఒకసారి సరే 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 అది చూస్తాలే చూస్తాలే పోరా So now you can see that, okay, so we are able to cut and paste it inside this container, okay, and inside the container level, at container level, we have an option to execute the container, okay. So if I execute this, okay, it will go and execute these two tasks separately. If I execute this, so it will go and execute only the task present inside the container, okay. Now that's how with these two will execute separately. Now let me go and see. So now you can go and see. So it is executing these two, okay, tasks separately. Yeah. So now you can see. So we are able to display the row count. So it is showing that row count is so 182 like this. Okay. So inside this row count transformation, so we can just put the data, okay, we can just put the data into this row count variable, and we are able to display that value inside this by using this script task. That's it. Okay, any doubts? Okay, yeah, thank you all. So it's already getting late. Okay, thank you for staying. Sorry, thank you. We'll send this recordings. Okay, I'm recording the yesterday class. Okay, so we'll send you the recordings by end of the day. Thank you.